Hey guys, what is going on? So the markets are looking stunning, absolutely stunning, honestly. So this week is going to be a really good week if you're sharp. You're in between your capital preservation and executional mode. Really controlling yourself for not over trading when you don't need to. Just literally wait for those good trades and you're going to have a great week. I promise you that. So this week's literally gearing up for some big trades. Right now, what we're seeing here on the DXY. This is my watch list. This is literally what I've got on for the week. But for DXY, we can see that we have this little point here where I'll zoom out on the weekly so you can see how overall we're in this massive range. And the thing about this range here is that we're in the middle right now. So we know that even with this small little gap here, this can still come all the way to the top before it comes all the way back down, or it can just continue higher. Preferably, I am looking for longs. The reason why is because we've got momentum going to the upside now. If we can get positioned for a long, we could potentially ride this all the way into these areas with multiple scaling opportunities. Going into the daily, we can see the daily momentum kicking in. Now, even though this is squeezing, this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have to retrace all of this. Now, it is possible, but I don't think it's probable. I think what we're seeing is this is just more as a continuation within a channel to the upside. So we're seeing these small corrections, liquidity being built, push, just constantly catching people out on the wrong sides. What I did notice about this channel on the 4-hour was that within here we have multiple continuations, and many times you'd be convinced that the market was going to reverse. But then what it does is it kind of just bounces back, creates a floor, and just moves to the next price point, creates a floor, and moves to the next price point, and so forth. Right now we're creating something a little bit larger, but it's more probable to give us the volume that we need to break through this and continue higher. So the only thing that I am wary of is that we are coming into a week of news. So we do kind of need to be a little bit more conscious about that. With NFP and on Friday this week, it's going to be pretty much one of those weeks where we might see a lot of volume go, and on our funding accounts we may not be able to take an opportunity, but we can still learn from it, which is the most important part. So what I'm really anticipating this week is maybe us coming back into these areas and reining that back in, and then this just basically becomes something a little bit more like this, and it just taps into this area and then goes. And ultimately, I think that's pretty good. We don't necessarily need to do that. We can still push up higher from here. We can just literally just turn around and just go from here and then reject, tap into this, and then next thing you know, maybe we even get something like that. I don't think that's the most probable situation, but at the end of the day, we're not here to speculate. Now, I'm only looking for a long from this area. If price comes into this area and bounces and I can get continuation, great. I'll be looking to get involved in this area. If price breaks through, bounces from here, gives continuation and goes, great, I can get involved here. And then likewise, if it starts plummeting to the downside, then I can look for multiple shorting opportunities and so forth. I think one of the most important things here is just that neutrality of thinking, not overthinking it, but also just kind of reading through it. I'm not looking for shorts in here right now. Now, even though that shorts could be presented, I'm not looking to just take a short into there to then go long. I'm more than happy to wait to see if price can create a floor, tap into this area, push up, insurance entry, and then we can get in long to these areas and then see how price reacts to this area, and then see if we can get positioned for shorts, or if price does tend to kind of hover around in this area and then continues higher, then fair enough, I can get positioned for another long position, and I've got positioned in here. So I've got this plus this, and then I'm riding into the next price point, which is quite high up. So that's basically my outlook on the DXY. Now, without overcomplicating it, you have to understand we are impulsively squeezing. So sometimes with this price action, we could see a quite aggressive drop off, but then it just retraces. So if you see something like that, probably this is the week to kind of take advantage of it. So we're going to have to wait and see. So don't be alarmed, just be conscious. And if you see something dropping off aggressively, just understand it's a part of the bigger plan. And if it does continue to go short for any particular reason, I don't think that it selling from this area is the point where it's just going to completely reverse. If it was going to completely reverse, honestly, I'd probably be looking at it from around about 50% of this overall range, and it would have pivoted from around about these areas, but it failed to reverse from this point, failed to reverse from this small little hook point. It's just basically just accumulating more people in the market to go on the wrong side of the market and short this too early, and then the market just pushes higher every time. So consider it as liquidity building right now, and then we'll get the next move. So see it as price just has a lot of potential in it basically, and you just need to be patient to wait for these good opportunities. The SPX, now this is one I'm also a little bit, very conscious about, in the sense of we are at all-time highs, we're getting continuation at all-time highs, and then we'll be trading into all-time highs coming into that 6,000 mark. It's one of those things where it's not about the number, but it's more so about where you're trading, and you don't have any reference points around it. So I will be more semi-aggressive with my management, trailing the stops on a daily basis, monitoring it on a weekly basis, and just kind of letting it run as a kind of longer term portfolio position. But understanding the way I trade and my sort of characteristics, I'm probably not going to sit in this trade for a very long time. I'll probably try get positioned in this area somewhere around about here, see if I can get in decent stop loss to around the next point. I'll be looking to get in, about 3 to 1 to here, and then let it run. And then when I'm running around about 5%, most probably I'd be a little bit more aggressive. I mean, just measuring this up from here to here, and then let's say we take it from top of the structure. This probably does have around about 9 to 10% in it for the run. Again, I'm going to be more aggressive around about 5%. I just know myself. Time and time again, I've seen this kind of go, okay, this is completed, then we get up here, and then larger correction forms again, and then next thing you know, we're kind of in this, and it's just channeling to the upside. So not that this is a major negative, but I don't want to really sit in this for a huge amount of time and leave a lot of my margin on the table, because there's a lot of opportunity shaping up. There's a lot of things that I can diversify my capital on, and not to say that I wouldn't want to prefer to get involved on this, but I'm not looking to have a longer term hold on certain portfolios. So that would be my reasoning behind not wanting to take a very longer term hold. But let's just see how this responds, because sometimes we do get this. Liquidity is being built, price is ready to go. You get positioned in here, stop loss down here, let's say for example 50 pips. Probably not, probably try get in a bit more aggressive. So at least I can get a 3 to 1 on this structure, and then lock in around about %. And then it just goes, and the next thing you know, it's all the way up here. And you're just kind of astonished, like, wow, I've literally just got in here 10%, running in within a week and a half. Great. If we're running around about 5% and it comes to the end of the week, I'll probably consider locking in around about 3% roughly, and then leave that open and then just see what happens. It's very unlikely this is going to drop and I'll take slippage, so I'm happy with that. Obviously, with war and stuff going on, a lot of people might be a bit more skeptical. I would say if you got in a bit late and you get into the market around about here, let's say, because there was a continuation, and the market's running around about 1.6 and you're just very close to it by 50 pips, I'd say just close it. Don't hold it over the weekend, because you just don't know. Sometimes the market can gap, and you've got your entry here, price is up there, and then suddenly market opens and it's down here. You don't want to take that unnecessary slippage. Whereas if you're positioned all the way down here, you can think about that way in advance, and you can think like, okay, hang on a second, I'm positioned here, price is all the way up here. It's very unlikely price is going to be dropping, circa 200 pips on a gap. When have we last seen that? And it's not very common. It can happen, but it's not very common. And I think it's something to price in when you are thinking about holding over the weekend as well. How close am I to current market? What sort of economical market conditions are there that can affect this indice? And is there anything that I kind of need to be aware of? And I think in that sense, because we have war and a lot of things happening around the world economically, we do need to price those things in when we make decisions like holding certain positions over the weekend. JP225, honestly, I think I couldn't have really asked for anything better at the moment. So we did kind of just tap it. We didn't break through it, which is completely fine because the response was confirming enough. We had a nice little 4-hour strong push here that kind of engulfed all of this price, which is nice. And now we're just looking for that basic continuation. It could get in a little bit larger. This could retrace around about 50%, but I am looking for this to kind of just give me clear continuation, 3 touch, equal spacing. You know, I'm in here, and then I'll look to get positioned somewhere in this region. And then from there, I can at least position myself higher. So to the high, I'll probably be looking around about 8-9%. To this small area, I think that's a game changer right there. And then you're playing the bigger move, 16%. So this for me is going to be a gem of a trade if it does shape up. It will need some time. I think for me personally, this will be more for later in the week trade. Again, we do have news this week, but I think we'll move before we get to the more impactful news. So this is one that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on. If we do come back down into this region, that's even better in my opinion, because then what we're doing is, and depending if we just get there slowly and gradually, and or price just taps in, breaks here, and then pushes up and gives us an insurance entry, I will be skeptical to the sense that this could develop. It could develop into like a descending or something like that, but more than likely if I can get an A to B movement back into those areas and protected, I'll be more than happy with that, because I'll get positioned in here, I'll protect into these areas here with a 3-to-1. I can lock in about 1% or break even if I wanted to, and then just ride that through, and I'll get positioned even better, probably even tighter as well, because I've got less room for error. So sometimes when certain things do happen, it actually gives you better positioning, and I think that's something that I've always got on my mind as well, is how good is the positioning, and if a scenario appears which is a variation of what could happen, could I potentially get a better entry? And I think a lot of the time the answer is yes, because this coming in here is actually confirming it and then pushing away and giving us continuation. It's really just confirming that we've tested it 1, 2, 3 times. We don't have any reason to really come down again, because we tapped into it, strong momentum push away, we tried to come back, we got there, we broke the low, and then we pushed away again. I think that's more than enough confirmation that we're going to be moving to the upside at that point. So something I'll be bearing in mind. Aussie Swiss, so this was one I was kind of a bit iffy with, but I think the thought process is really there. We're correctively breaking the low here. We can see on the daily, which I really do like as well, and the weekly, oh my gosh, the weekly is stunning. Look how we closed over here. Strong heavy bodied break from the low. Daily, we can see that we're just hovering in this area right now, which is completely normal. I'm looking at this as a ray line low, and I just want to see continuation below it. If I can get clear cut continuation below it, structured continuation, I'll be looking to go short on that. And the protection could be varied depending on spreads, depending on time of day, depending on location and so forth. But honestly, in terms of positioning, this is great, because even though we've correctively come here, we've broken the low now. So now I just need to see a little bit of a follow through and continuation, and then I can trade that into the next point where I could manage for a 3.7, and then I go straight into a 7.7. And then if it does happen to just open the floodgates, then I'm in for the run. And I think this is a pair that I don't usually have on watch, but since I do have it on watch and it's responding pretty well, I can actually decipher it and really take advantage of it, and that's what I'm really looking for now. Because it is a Swiss pair, if it does start to mess about and it's not giving me this typical impulsive price action to the downside that I am looking for within this run, I'll look to get out. I'm not looking to do a longer term hold on this. I'm looking to get in and out, maybe potentially in for a week and a half max, and that's it. Because again, it's another situation where I don't want to be leaving too much of my margin on the table when I could be splitting my risk over onto other trades. So yeah, I will move to break even as soon as possible once we've really cleared that structure and we're running down here. But again, I think in terms of opportunity in the market, you can already see there's so much opportunity that you don't really want to be sleeping on something like this. EJ, on the other hand, I think EJ is an absolute gem. EJ just didn't give me the forecast I wanted to, but that's completely fine. We're breaking higher, which is pretty much what I wanted. So I'm going to see this to be a gap fill, come back up, probably get a bit messy, and I think it's just going to kind of do something like that and go. So right now, I think truth behold, I'm not going to be taking a trade here, but we're probably going to fill that. I don't think we're coming back to retest this low. I think what we're actually really looking at now is just retest of this region here and then this just develops and then becomes something of its own. I will be looking for something clear cut though. I am waiting for something like that. So as long as it takes, and I'll take that. Again, there was this, which was nice, where we had something which wasn't fully developed. It was developing, and then the price just went. So now I'm going to be patient and wait for what I'm looking for. But the nicer thing is we're no longer trading through the high, we're trading above the high, which then again gives me even more for better confluence to move to the upside. Okay, Aussie US dollar with the US dollars basketed together. It's a bit of a tricky one right now because it's still premature and it's all the way down here. I am looking for something to just really develop to give me a weighted flag to go lower. But as we can see how price is moving, we're not looking like we're going to be stalling to be making something like this. We look like we're just going to continue going within this soldiering sort of channel to the downside. So this is what I want, but expectation wise probably won't get that. We'll probably get something a little bit more like this, and if we did get something like that, I wouldn't be surprised. So again, what you want versus what you're going to get, it's two different things. I think more than likely as well in these scenarios, I'll probably go for the risk entry rather than waiting for the insurance entry. Maybe I'll just take a little bit extra protection because of the news situations. But I think that's really what we're going to be looking at this week. If we do get something like that, it would be something like this for me. I think there is news, like I said, so my price could be erratic. It could really just push up higher as well, as we mentioned, just really wash out a lot of these sells and then just kind of drop off again. So again, I'm not trying to speculate on the market here. Be very neutral, understand what you're trading into, understand what you're looking for, and you're going to have a really, really good week. But you don't want to be catching all these small intraday trades, which are high risk. You want to be waiting for something which is more confirmed, has a bit more weight, there's some context to it, and there's a story behind it. You can understand the sequence, the pattern separation, right? And that's one of the beauties of it, right? It's just being able to separate everything that was going on. And then when you've got that, you basically can see, right, great, I can read how price is literally creating itself, and I can see where the value is going to be way beforehand, and you can take advantage of it. Again, same with GBP US dollar. I think the nice thing about this is it's more of a breakout hover right now, but it's breaking out correctively. So this is where the neutrality comes in place, and I wouldn't be surprised, just going to invert it, I wouldn't be surprised if this did just kind of sell off a little bit. But if we're really going to break out to the outside, now's the place to do it, and we're going to need that impulsive price action. So again, week of news, if we're looking for impulsive price action to break out, to confirm the short here even more, this is the week to do it because of where we're positioned. So by no coincidence did we come here for no reason. I think right now this is a very key area to be focusing on, and we just want to see how price taps into there. Again, this is another area where we may look to risk entry, and we may not just opt in for the insurance. So as this develops, we can evolve our lines, and we may get something like that, and then look for the risk entry internally, who knows. But for now, I'm just keeping it very simple. Euro New Zealand, again, absolute gem. Oh, do you know there was more pairs that I could have put on watch this week, but I just had to really filter through them, and you can see I already have a lot on here. So the filtering game genuinely has to be on point when you do things like this. We can see that we're coming in, we're tapping into this little hook point here, which is nice. This has become the floor, or call it the ceiling of where the liquidity is sitting. So I think what we do is we tap into there, wash out a bit, and we get a heavy drop in. What I want to see is this sort of price action where bigger players are just stepping in. I want to see that, you know, we're getting a strong reaction from these areas, and then I can look for continuation to get continued to go short, and then we can just play the momentum into these areas. Into the first area here, considering we get it here, probably get the insurance entry a bit higher, but you know, 5 to 1 into there, to this low around about 20, 25. You know, we're not playing with amateur numbers here, we're playing with some serious figures. So this is where I'm really looking to get positioned. You can see the range, you can see the story, push down, break the low, 1, 2, 3, M star, coming back up, retest this area, take out some more liquidity, evolves into this, and then boom, we play that short. We're in for a stunning move. So EN is one of them prime ones. If I could put on like a glowing color on it, I would. It's just one that really just stands out this week. GBP New Zealand likewise. Really nice pair ahead of the week. I think pretty much sister pair to Euro New Zealand. The only thing I see with this one is, considering of how it's been moving, it's more than likely that if this continues going higher, Euro New Zealand will as well, and it won't be the trade that we anticipate it to be. So I think GN and EN equally will be the signal from the market. I just need to really see a follow through commitment from those areas, break above. I'm not going to look for something that short anymore. It would be literally comes in, taps in, breaks down, and then gives me something like this, where again, I may get it, I may not. And then yeah, just something in that region there, and I can get positioned in for the short there. And I think I'm more than happy to get positioned in this because it's backed by a higher time frame, a weighted area. We got the continuation, it's clear as day. And yeah, just even if the stop loss is pretty large, I'm still not bothered, because even if I take a 36 pip stop loss, I'm still paying an 8 to 1 into this region, 8.5 to 1, for example, in that just minor little area here. So something to bear in mind. But neutrality thinking here, and if we do push higher and we come into these regions and we create some clear, deliberate continuation, I'll definitely be considering a long position in these areas, because then likewise, if that does happen and I can get positioned pretty well in there, even with, call it 35 pips again, I'm still trading 6 to 1 into that area. Most likely, we're not just coming in to retest this little bit, we're going to go up and tap into the higher value area above it. So it's very, very important to understand that, yeah, it's about 100 pips difference. So the likelihood of that coming back to the upside is becoming much more probable. And I had to ask myself as well, like, look, this failed to commit. We had more than enough here. If we were really going to go, we would have gone. Fact of the matter is, we're pushing to the upside, and I don't think we're just doing it to fill this wick. I think genuinely there's a bigger play in place. So if that's the case, scrap that. This can just be a bit more of a trap. So that's why I'm going to be waiting for the insurance entry. See that? So I'm not just going to be taking a risk entry there because things look great, 1, 2, 3, this and that. No, I'm looking for a strong push, close, insurance entry, deliberate price action, and I'm good to go. And you can see how they work side by side. So I will be cross correlating those when I do look for the trade. Euro Aussie, again, banging trade, banging, absolutely amazing. I think I was originally looking for something like this to just kind of, you know, just confirm like, okay, we've broken above, we washed this out and so forth. But I always knew that this was kind of a possibility as well, where we come in 1, 2, 3, we tap into that, push above, retrace, come back in, insurance entry, and then that is the gameplay there. Second option here. But if we do reject from this area for any reason, I wouldn't be surprised. We don't necessarily have to come in and tap into this area, because this kind of came up and tested this area and then kind of sell. So yeah, it's one of those ones. I just want to see a rejection, insurance entry, and go. I don't want to be taking the risk entries for the same reason that this just extends, comes up here and does the same thing again, extends, and then next thing you know, we're trading all the way up here and we missed the message for the longs. So where I would be looking to go long is in these regions here. If we do break above and price just kind of trickles and gets up here, and then next thing you know, we're kind of developing that, retesting the back end of all of that, why would I hesitate on that? I wouldn't. So that's basically my outlook for EA. I think EA is looking very, very nice, and you have to see it as well from a point of view where we created a base, we pushed up phase 1, continuation, phase 2, and then now we're in phase 3. So then if we measure out phase 1, 2, 3, and I take it from here to here, and let's just say we take it from the base lines up but still breaks out, and then we take it from the top, takes us all the way back into these areas. So for those reasons, EA as well could be a patient one. Same with E and GN. Don't just be anticipating the shorts because it's looking good right now. Look at what price is telling you, and price is telling you is we created this and now we're just getting momentum and going. GA is one I'm actually looking for longs. I know the shorts are possible, but honestly, if the long comes in play, it's got a whole different situation. Right now I was looking for something a little bit more like that. I just don't have it right now. I need to wait and see how it develops, but as it kind of moves on, I'm going to leave it for now. If I can get a trade in here, I could probably pay a 3 to 1 into that area and then see if it continues higher. Again, similar to EA, right? We're looking at this for potential shorts, but we could easily go long, and the same thing applies here. We've got the value area there, so we just need to wait and see. I think from a perspective of going short, this makes a lot more sense because we've got phase 1, 2, 3 coming into the area. We break above, push back in, insurance central start selling, and we don't need to fill that total wick. But many a times where I've seen big wicks like this and price does come up like this, it's most likely going to just come all the way back up, fill that wick, probably even mess about a bit, push a bit higher, does some sort of, you know, something like that, pushes here, goes even higher, and then eventually sells off. So, you know, I'm not too fixated on GA, and I wouldn't be, because it is GA as well, not my most favorited pair. If you do know, probably mentioned it a couple times that it's not the best pair in the world, but you know, if we get a continuation, it's there. USD CAD, I am looking for shorts on USD CAD. I think what I do like about this is we're coming into this value area within this overall range, and we're kind of pushing out with an expanding. Now, to me, the expanding is pretty impulsive, but it seems like it's expanding to get to this area. So it doesn't seem like my typical price action where, you know, we are continuing. It seems like we're ending, and I think what's nice about this is, you know, there's multiple confluences leading to this particular area where I think a lot of people are waiting to go short on. So that's one thing that I will be looking at closely. This is something that I didn't pick up, but I did pick up over the weekend. Was originally I would have looked at something like this, which I don't think is entirely wrong, but I think at the same time, when you do look at it, if you do read through it, we don't necessarily need to come all the way up here just yet. We can still just tap into that little hook point and sell. So something to also bear in mind, that this could just be coming in to tap into that little bit of liquidity and go. Doesn't necessarily have to break those highs. So something I will be bearing in mind as well. We'll give this more time. I'll set the alert on this to just kind of trigger me to let me know when we've kind of filled that, and I'll see how price reacts. If we just get a strong reaction from their strong push, maybe 2 strong 4-hour candles, continuation, I'm more than happy to get involved on continuation to the downside, because typically if it isn't going to work from there, then it will just start doing something like that, and then I just need to wait for this, another push, continuation, and then I get in short again. And worst case scenario, I took a loss, but then I took a really good win. Simple. New Zealand CAD. Now, New Zealand CAD was looking really nice until we kind of just sold off and tapped into the low. Now, if we come back up to these areas, I'm not as favorable because we've created a base. So New Zealand CAD doesn't become as good of a pair that it originally was on the weekend, but it's okay, to be honest. Am I still looking for the short? I don't really think so, to be honest. I'm not looking for the same position that I was on the weekend. I think what I'm going to be doing now is I'm just going to be a bit more patient. I think what I would like to see is that this comes back up, maybe doesn't tap into the top, sells off, and then create something like that. And then what we have is an evolved structure of something like this. And then I can see that as it's creating continuation to go short, maybe an insurance entry. I don't know, I think EuroCAD might actually easily come off watch for me. The reason why I liked it was we left the gap, and if we created continuation above it, then it was giving it enough weight to get impulse correction and then just smash through it. But now looking at it, even though higher time frame does triumph at this small little information here, this can still pull back a little bit deeper before it does drop. And it's one of those ones where I'm just kind of sitting in limbo with it right now. I need to sit down and really think about this one and see how the daily closes, see how price is reacting. I think the best thing to do now, honestly, is let it do whatever it has to do. Even if it does that, let it do it, come down here, and then when you get continuation down here, that's where we want to get involved to go short. And I think that is the safest thing that I would probably be doing right now. And yeah, if you agree, you know, drop it in the comments. If you think this is one that I personally think a lot of the time we can get caught into the range up here when we don't need to. Let's just wait for it to break and confirm that we're still going short, and then go short. If you do agree with that, you know, definitely drop a thumbs up in the comments below, because I think that's a solid thought process to mitigate against certain losses that don't need to be taken. EuroCAD, You're a cad, you're a cad, you're a cad is a gem. Do you know what? I was so tempted. I saw it as it tapped into that low and I was like, maybe, but it wasn't what I really. And yeah, sorry, apologies there. So HK50, I think this one is actually a very interesting one just off the bat that, is this the range play to play the bigger move? So what's nice about this is that we've tapped in this area and had the response, and now it just looks like we're accumulating volume for the next move. I'm in two sort of parallels with this one. I think it's more so if we impulsively come back up and tap into this area and push down insurance entry and go, great. More than likely though, if we're accumulating volume right now, there could be the internal structure in here where we develop something within this sort of region and we go from there. Right now, just looking at it, it looks like we could be coming back up higher as well. So I've kept this one as a variation to just see that if we do throughout the week kind of push up here, and then by towards the end of the week we have this sort of insurance entry or midweek, I'll be able to take advantage of that into that low. And you know, there's a 6-7 to 1 there, and then I can play the bigger move where, you know, it just kind of develops and just goes, and then you're playing with this really interesting move here with a lot of scaling opportunity again. So that's what I'm looking at there. Aussie 200, I think it's one of those ones where I think it's just done. It's already in the range. It's got enough liquidity there built up. The volume's pretty much peaking, so it could just drop off. But if I'm looking for something, I think I'm looking for the best price. And how I'm looking to take this is I just want to see if price can just make one more up, push back up, kind of creates this section 1, section 2, and then comes back up, third section, retest the back end of that, push down insurance entry, and we sell. And then I'm in for a phenomenal move because then there's like nothing really holding it back. Whereas right now when I'm looking at it, I'm kind of seeing, is it ready, is it not ready? And this kind of looks like a corrective middle section just building up here, and then we're going to evolve that and it's just going to be something like this, and then, you know, we still get the same trade. So insurance entry all the way. Aussie 200 is just kind of the variation similar to the HK50. Let's just see how it develops towards mid-end week. US yen, I'm looking for a floor to go higher. It might be a missed trade because I'm going to go out shortly, and if it does shape up, perhaps maybe I won't be around. It could be an Asian session situation as well, I don't know. With news this week as well, it's just very one of them ones where if I'm doing a long-term hold situation, I don't think I'm looking to hold through this news week in particular, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, if price creates a floor, it's kind of coming into more something like this now, where I don't think we're going to be seeing something large like that. I think it's just going to create the floor, and then that's the run to just go. So realistically, we're looking for that or insurance entry in this area. And yeah, I think more than likely the insurance entry is probably the better play for tomorrow. And I'll probably look for something like that, and then into those areas, and I've got a 4 to 4.5, and then, you know, around about 8%, 9% to those highs, and then onwards and upwards. So that's still looking pretty good. Coffee. Yeah, it's corrective to the squeeze to the downside. I wanted to see a clear break and then continuation. We can see structurally this looks pretty good. You know, you got area of value broken at 1, 2, 3, kind of pushed up, mini amp star pushed down. It's just one of those ones where it's just like, why are we not going? You know, it's like everything is there, we're just not going, and it's showing signs of just not giving what it needs to give. So really and truly, this could just get complicated and just not sell off. So it's one of those. But if we do just dramatically drop off, continuation and go, I'll be ready for that. This is one that I have taken a trade on, so I think I was talking about it last week. Is if I just zoom out quickly, just so you can kind of see the whole thought process. So here is, you know, we can see that we channeled up into this area, call it a 1, 2, 3, doesn't really matter. We've come up into this area, we pushed up kind of the M star, and we dropped off, and I think that was the most important part there, is where we failed to continue from this area, and then we just sold off. What happened is when we sold off, we created continuation, which you can see on the weekly, sold off, came back up, retested it, and now we pushed down in continuation. But when we did come back to retest it, what did we do? Liquidity sat there, and we came back with structure. 1, 2, 3, push down. This was the larger insurance entry. So there was multiple entries in here, which I did explain as well. You know, you could have phase lined that one, you could have taken a trade in here and so forth. But where we are now is we've had the 1, 2, 3 push down, and this is the trade to take from A to B. But then likelihood is we're going to be taking it into those areas there to play the full range of this. So that's what I'm looking at. So positioning is actually looking pretty good for me. If I go into the hourly so you can see this a little bit more clearly, what did we have? Well, we kind of had this as your sort of base area, and then this is the top, and then it was just the internal structure within this. So it's kind of mimicking that structure was there, and then we're basically playing from here to there, and that's basically what I'm taking. Is it the best trade in the world? It's okay, I'll be honest with you. It's not the best trade in the world, but the context is there, which I do like. I kept it very simple, because if I was looking for perfection, I probably would have missed this, but it basically pushed up and tapped into this, which I was anticipating. I was anticipating a little bit further, but it didn't really matter. I thought it would just kind of break above, tap into that, and then go. It was more than enough anyway, because the override was there. Pushed up, pushed back in, and then we had that. I actually took it on the 15, so I got positioned in here, roughly around about there. I was more than happy with that because I already understood what I was taking, what was done, the psychology behind this as well, and I wasn't looking at something like that, if that's what you were thinking as well. It was just more so a simple play off, you know, liquidity sitting in this area here. We've got this as a range, so we've come up, we've taken out these highs, we've left a gap, we've pushed up, we've come correctively, scooped up, impulsively pushed up, tapped into that, and if we're going to reject from there, that's where the bigger players are stepping in. Understanding that, I want to get positioned in with them, so I did, and then I want to get the good protection, so now I can actually move to break even willingly if I want to. I probably will by the end of this hour. I'll move to break even and I'll be happy as day. And that was basically the thought process that's there. And yeah, if we look at it, positioned in somewhere around about here, stop loss just about there, and looking to take it. So we've got about 3 point something to the bottom of this little micro range here, and then looking at 5 and then 8%, and then I'll be looking to get out the market around about that 8% mark region. But then this does turn into a pretty decent position as it runs in lower. So you can see the thought process there. I really did like this trade. I like the thought process around it. I like I just really like the whole trade idea, and I think again it's the first time really and truly, well, the second week or third week now that I've had second week France 40 on watch, and I think there were so many massive learning lessons on it as well, and just it was one that I was studying, and I thought, wow, you know, such a great time to actually be able to take an opportunity on this pair, which I've never been able to do before. So that was a really nice thing to experience. And then we've got Euro USD over here, last but not least. I'm really patient with this one because we could go from this area, we could go from this area, we can just extend and have a larger pullback. Kind of similar to what we said as did DXY at the beginning. It's just we're trading through that low now. We're consolidating, which is nice. I just want to see commitment. From a weekly perspective, it's still looking very bearish. You know, the momentum is there. If we can smash through this, that's great. Perhaps we're leaving a footprint for a larger continuation as well. So that's something that I'm bearing in mind as well, because it's something that over time I've been able to kind of think about when we are looking at sequence. Where is the market leaving footprints? And when I say footprints, I mean where is the market leaving a potential mark in the market that if we're going to push away, if we do start pulling back, could we pull back to those areas? And if that happens to be significantly something that tends to be repetitive, like V-shapes and so forth, then I can take advantage of counter trend trades. So it's interesting because as I became more and more in tune with market characteristics and the nature of particular pairs, I've been able to understand pullbacks. I've been able to understand pivotal points and all of this a lot more clearer. So I kind of know where a lot of the value is sitting, and I can recognize that very quickly. And being able to do that enables you to then take these risk entries really, really well when you have the right confirmations and everything's aligned. So then, you know, you can get positioned so tight and so well in these areas, taking not a huge amount of risk, but it's sustainable and replicatable, which is more important. But do I believe this is the best area? No, I believe that this one here is even better. But if we do get an entry in there, fair enough. If we get an AFT entry, even better. It's just something that I'll be more wary about. That right now it's coming up impulsive. If we get the continuation, which I think was developing on the lower time frame here, we can then see that, you know, we could get something developing here. So we can A, B, C, come back into this area, retrace, insurance entry and sell, and you know, you'd get positioned in pretty good, maybe even 10 pips in there. and then you play that for the bottom of this range. That's with the insurance entry. You play in here 6.57% to that low, and then, you know, with news and all of this stuff happening over the course, who knows, it could just trigger and just go, and next thing you know, you're running like 10-12%. So it's a small trade like that can really turn into a mega trade, and we've seen it countless times within this corrective trend. So guys, that really covers up this sort of week, what I'm looking at, how I'm looking to kind of get involved in the markets, and what I'm really focusing on. Obviously, France 40 may just do it for me for the week. I'll be honest with you, it's looking pretty good at the moment, especially with that strong pullback. I think what we do need to be worried about is this retracing. I mean, how much of this would get retraced? And most likely, I think 50% of that. So if I am going to be waiting for that 4-hour close, I'll definitely be conscious about this pulling back a little bit before it sells, because usually when we do sell off progressively like this, we either just continue and just keep rapidly selling off, or we just get some strong retraces. So break evens hands down on this, and not going to be too hesitant with it. Don't have to worry about any news today, because tomorrow we've got news, so we're kind of in the clear for the entry and the go. So right now this is looking pretty nice. The week's looking good, guys, and yeah, wishing you guys a really good week ahead, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.